So today's khutbah, inshallah, I will speak to you about the attacks of shaitan that he described. The first time we spoke about the attacks from the front, and today I'm going to talk to you about he comes at us from behind, and how that is actually a very different kind of attack of the shaitan. If time allows, then I'll also delve into the attack from the right, and then eventually from the left. So what I want to speak to you about, as far as what's behind us, the most immediate imagery of what's behind us is actually our history. Whenever you go through a day, that's behind you now. It'll never come back again. And so the most immediate and most powerful way to understand this attack of the shaitan is that he will use your past against you. He'll use what you've gone through in life, the experiences you've had, the things that you've lived through, and he will manipulate those experiences. Because in some sense, in some psychological sense also, we are the sum of our experiences. Every experience you and I go through affects us in some way. It impacts the way we think, it impacts our emotions, maybe it even affects our future decisions. Somebody who gets into a car accident, the way they drive changes. The same way when somebody gets, has a bad relationship with a friend or something, falling out with a friend, the way they interact with them afterwards changes. So experiences affect the way we make future decisions. Now shaitan, his job is to try to mess us up in some way, get us off the straight track. So I'll highlight some of the ways he uses our past against us, and we think these are thoughts that are happening inside of our own heads, while it's actually the shaitan. And that's one of his great successes, is you think that these are your own thoughts. But these are wasawis. These are just whispers of the devil where he's trying to make you fall back into something that you may have fallen into before. One of the ways that he does that is that maybe, for example, you used to be a better person. Maybe you used to be more diligent with your prayers. Maybe you were more observing of, if Allah forbade something, you stayed away from it. And if Allah said this is allowed, and that's the only thing, you were content with that. And you didn't fall into Allah's disobedience. And you were good. You could look back and you say you were good. And some people are like that. They look back and they say, you know what? There was a time I was a much better person. I'm disappointed with myself now. I remember the time when I used to stand in prayer and I used to cry. I don't know the last time I've shed a tear. Or I used to feel so much connected to Allah. I used to just kind of do dhikr all the time. I used to make the dua for coming into the house or leaving the house or going into the restroom or coming out of it. Or I used to just have every excuse to remember Allah. I used to be much kinder with my words. Now I use foul language. I use bad words against people. I lose my temper. I speak about people. I backbite. I've developed all these habits. I didn't used to be like this. But I was a much better person. So there's one thing to compare yourself to somebody else, but even when you compare yourself to yourself, some people were in a much better place before. And so shaitan says, well, that part of you is dead. That's gone. That's never coming back. Listen, that's over with. This is who you are now. And he'll make you almost give up on yourself. While the reality is that if you are capable, if Allah made you capable of living a certain way, and living by a certain standard, and you upheld it, you were able to do it, then that actually means that you will forever be capable. That's actually proof to yourself. It's one thing that you never accomplish something. You were never able to accomplish something. And you say, well, I can't do it. Well, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe you haven't even tried. Or maybe I can't say for sure that you're capable. But you lived by something. You had certain capability. You were doing better. Now it's known that you have that, you possess that in you, that faith in you, that strength in you. And so shaitan wants you to convince you that you no longer have that capability because of whatever experiences you've gone through or I've gone through. Now we will never go back to who we were again. At least in our spiritual sense. We can't go back. Now understand something. Emotionally, maybe you can't go back. Emotionally, when somebody's scarred, maybe they're changed forever and that's okay. That's life. That happens. Maybe if somebody, the loss of a child is not something easy to get over, for example. So there are kinds of trauma or kinds of experiences that maybe our entire lives will be chipping away at trying to heal, and we may never get there. But shaitan uses that to mess you up not emotionally but spiritually, to mess with your connection with Allah, and to basically get you to say, well, you know what, you've gone through these experiences, so what's the point of prayer? The prayers no longer count. And so that's one kind of attack the shaitan uses against you and me, is to make you lament, make you think back with regret about better days that are never going to come back for you.